When you look at the way this pushes wood out, I think it's a lot safer for a second person or a third person to help run this. Hey, it's Brock here from Rock Hill Farms, and I've got my friend Joe from the Okie Woodsman YouTube channel, and he came up here to do a comparison on some different wood splitters. I've just got the Eastonmade Ultra, and I love that splitter. And you've just got a new splitter, which is the
Splitfire 3490.
And these splitters are in a comparable price category. So today we want to compare them head to head. We're going to split the exact same wood with each of them. We're going to time it. And then we're going to go around and talk about pros and cons and why you might choose one splitter or the other.
Both of these splitters are made in Canada. I'm excited to see how this goes.
Yeah, I think that's a great comparison. So let's get started. So what we've done for our comparison is cut up 2 logs here on the log deck. The first 3 rounds are from one log, and the second 3 rounds are from a different log. Then we have a large, like 24-inch diameter round down here on the ground. So we're doing different species and different sizes of wood. Now normally I've used only the 4-way wedge on my splitter. I use it for everything, but it's not ideally suited for that big round. And Joe splits his wood smaller than I split mine. So he suggested with these rounds here, we switch to the 2-way wedge and split those into 6 pieces rather than 4. So I'm going to go first using the Eastonmade Ultra, and we'll see how long it takes to split these 7 rounds. All right, I'm going to start a timer. I think this is a 2-man lift.
Yep. Hey, son, come here.
We'll just... I don't think I can pick that guy up. I didn't anticipate that. So I love that Eastonmade Ultra. That felt really fast. Now we have to put a caveat in there. That big piece of wood, I couldn't pick it up. If my life depended on it, I could have got that piece picked up, but I don't feel like injuring myself by overstraining my back, which is why I have all this lifting equipment around here.
And the other option is certainly cutting it once in half with your saw.
Yeah, we could have a splitting maul out here and prep those rounds down with a maul or cut it in half with a chainsaw. Either one would be fine. But this is your first time seeing the Ultra in person. What do you think?
It's impressive. It looks like it operates extremely efficiently, and it was fun watching you.
And we have to acknowledge that this is a new splitter for me, so my routine of how to be efficient with it is not completely ironed out. As I was doing that, I was testing things like, can I stack these and split them together? Sure. What's the best way on that big one? Do I split it in half this way or nibble off pie-sized pieces, things like that? So over time, you get better at a piece of equipment. So now we're going to set his splitter in the same spot and do the exact same test. And nothing's ever identical, but these pieces of wood are as close to the same as we can get. All right, so this split about a minute faster than mine. And I think the two biggest things I noticed were that changing the wedge took a little longer for me. Now, I'd never changed it before. That was my first time ever doing that. But this is a very fast wedge change setup. And then also, I walked around and realized I couldn't pick that round up. So I kind of wasted a little bit of time and getting some help to lift the round.
Plus, I had to hand my camera off to my boy.
Yeah. So overall, I think they split pretty similar in how fast they are, which is very good because the Ultra has the fastest cycle time of any splitter in this range. But the fact you split in both directions means the wedge itself doesn't have to move as fast for you to get the same splitting speed.
Yeah, and my goal is always I keep the wood I'm working on right on my stomach, so that way I do not want to have to pick up wood off the ground.
And I noticed that you've put more hours on yours and you'd figured out some little tricks, like when a piece gets stuck down there, don't try to get it out. Just split back the other way.
Yes.
And then it'll be just setting there. So.
Exactly. This Splitfire machine has been excellent for my family and I. It's the first nice splitter I've ever actually run. And it is a phenomenal machine to use. I will split by myself, and sometimes I'll split with the help of my family. My wife will oftentimes operate the controls, and I'll bring wood to her. Sometimes my boys are even bringing wood over. And I think the big story here is that it depends on your workflow and how you're going to use the splitter. This splitter, for my situation at my property, works fantastic, because if you're not familiar with my channel, my ground is not flat. I would love to have a piece of ground this flat. I don't have a piece of ground like this anywhere on my 12 acres. And so I'm able to pick this up, reposition it relatively easily.
So I'll tell you advantages I see to this splitter. The Honda engine is an advantage. The quick change on the wedge is an advantage. Having a log lift is an advantage. It's lighter and you can move it around easier. Or one person can move this over there. I can move the Eastonmade by myself, but I don't feel it's worth it. It's so heavy that it's such a strain. It's the same as picking up giant rounds.
Yeah.
I can, but I don't want to. So I've got other options for moving the splitter. But so being lighter and easier to move can definitely be an advantage.
I'm looking forward to running the Eastonmade myself, because I can tell you, when you were splitting, pushing through that 4-way knife, it was incredibly fast.
There's also a difference that we can talk about together about having multiple people. If you're really wanting to be fast, you're not buying 3 splitters because you've big enough operation to have 3 people working.
Yeah.
You need a splitter that can work with multiple people. And I think the Eastonmade design is almost more set up to have multiple people working. But you demonstrated, and we demonstrated together in the last video, that you can have someone just taking the pieces off of this and loading your log lift for you.
Yeah, like oftentimes when my wife is operating the knife lever, my goal is to get her to keep that knife moving, and I am grabbing wood and getting it out of her way and positioning wood, and we can really crank through material quickly.
With this splitter or that commercial vertical splitter behind me, when a piece of wood is split, it is in your hands, and you now have a decision. I'm going to put this somewhere. My helper is going to put this somewhere. With the Ultra, the way it's really, I think, designed to be used is I'm just feeding pieces in. This piece pushes the next one out, and I don't touch them. They fall off onto the ground. Yep. And if you have a conveyor system, or you have a designated person to load that into baskets, or you set your basket where it pushes into it, then it can be a little bit faster that way. Using it by myself, I don't choose to do that, though. Sure. I handle it the same way. I take the 2 pieces and I put it in my basket.
Absolutely.
So there's going to be a difference whether you're one person or having multiple people work together.
Another thing that you didn't mention is your machine is able to be operated from both sides. It's ambidextrous in a sense where you can operate it with your right hand on the lever or left, because it's symmetrical, I believe. Am I correct?
It's completely symmetrical from the operator's position. So if there are rounds everywhere and you pull this up into the middle, you can split all those from that side, come to this side, split all of these. All right, hey man, I appreciate you bringing your splitter up here.
Absolutely.
Now I want to show you a few things specific to the Eastonmade that are different and why I think those are better. So I'm really glad that Joe brought that Splitfire up here. I've seen him in videos, but never got to run one in person. And I was impressed with it, and it was faster than I thought it would be. And it's a pretty nice machine. But I've got to say, I still think that this Eastonmade Ultra might be the best value on the market for what you pay and for what you get. When I look at these 2 splitters side by side, they performed equally well at the task we just put them through. But to me, this is built heavier and more commercial. The tires are bigger, the axle is bigger, the frame is bigger, the table is bigger. Just kind of everything about it. It's got more horsepower, it's got more hydraulic flow. The hydraulic reservoir is a lot bigger. It's got a pressure gauge and a sight gauge on the side where you can see. Just overall, the ability to hook your hitch up from the front or the back to move it. I just find this to be a really impressive machine. Now, one important factor is price. Eastonmade has a wide range of splitters, up to $30,000 plus processors, enormous units. And I have right here the smallest, cheapest splitter they make. That's why it doesn't have a log lift. If I wanted one with a log lift, I would have went up to the 511, which has a fully automated cycle. It has multiple options for box wedges, and that's a $9,000 plus splitter. This is a $5,000 splitter. And that Splitfire with the high flow and the log lift and the 4-way wedge falls in between those. So it's all of these features are making a decision where you want to be in the market. And I got this cheaper splitter because feedback from my viewers were that they're not buying a $5, $10, $20,000 splitter, they're buying cheaper splitters. So you really have to factor all of that in. And this machine right here is built to run all day long and feed wood in and just push it out. Now, when you look at the way this pushes wood out, I think it's a lot safer for a second person or a third person to help run this, because I'm taking wood off right here and stacking it, and I'm never reaching up here. So I think there's an added benefit if you're using this for production or multiple people, or you want to park a conveyor right here and feed that wood out. Because with the other splitter, after it splits, you're left with the wood to do something with. This, it just, the next piece pushes it, and the next piece pushes that, and the next piece pushes that. So it's all about preference. This works so well for me because I have equipment that lets me handle the bigger rounds, lets me move the big logs. And for the price of the other splitter, I got this splitter and the mini skid steer mount splitter. Anyway, a couple awesome machines. I think it was a good comparison. Let me know what you guys think. I appreciate you taking time to watch. I'll put links on the screen to a couple more of our videos, and I'll see you next time.